Hey guys, it's Caitlin from Reef.com, and I'm here with the shrimp pimp, Larry DuPont of Larry's Reef Services.
That's right.
Yeah, I still need one of those.
Yeah, I've got to get something size small.
So we've been trying to get together for, I don't know, like a month now. So I'm really glad to have you in front of me, even though, we spent some time together in Omaha this past week.
Yeah, that was awesome out there with Lemon and Koji and Jim and Scott from Nebraska Aquatic Supply, and got to meet Mitch Carl and go behind the scenes at the Omaha Zoo and had a really great time. So that was a lot of fun and good to be back home and back at it.
Are you adjusted? You're back to making your food?
I'm back. We're making the food, getting used to this weather. It was about 75 degrees today, so nice change of pace.
Sounds awful. It's snowing here.
Well, it's coming. That's why we had to get all our shipments out early in the week, because it's supposed to get nasty tomorrow.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with that. So today we're really going to focus on fish nutrition. But for those who aren't familiar with you already, I just wanted you to give a little quick introduction of yourself.
Okay. I'm the owner of LRS Foods. We started out as Larry's Reef Services. That's what LRS stands for. And we were founded in 2012. We went from a small maintenance company to a food manufacturer almost by accident when we started making food for fish to feed our aquariums and our local service clients using Carolina-based, fresh seafood. And from then, it's just grown and grown and grown to where it's become a full-time pursuit for my wife and I and other employees. And now we make a premium fish food product. We have a couple different blends, and we ship it to roughly 240 plus independent stores and service companies in the United States. And we export to Puerto Rico, Hong Kong, Japan, and then we independently ship to places like Lebanon, Beirut for the end user and other specific people that would request our foods. But we're having a real great time doing it, traveling the country, meeting some awesome folks, making fish food, about 24/7 these days, but pretty much just small family business that started out with a dream and an idea, and we just kept growing and growing and trying to make the product the best that we could.
Your food has exploded in popularity, and you always seem to be front and center, be it in social media or blogs, or like you said, you're traveling all over the world. You see these incredible tanks. You feed your food to these incredible tanks, and, what's it like seeing those in person?
Living like Larry.
Living like Larry.
Living like Larry.
Living like Larry. Living like Larry. Living like Larry.
Oh, it's been awesome. I mean, as a hobbyist, we are very, very active, like you said, and we have a lot of fans on Facebook that joke with me and say that they live vicariously through my Facebook videos and postings. And we've been really lucky that a lot of people in the hobby have embraced what we're doing. And, we have a passion and a dedication to try to make the average hobbyist more successful with their fish and their health of the aquarium animals that they keep, and also keeping their aquarium cleaner. So we've been fortunate that a lot of people have invited us to come learn at different facilities, everything from aquaculture facilities to large private home aquariums like at Bill Wan's house. We've been up to the Long Island Aquarium. We're getting ready to go back there in a couple of weeks. So we basically, take the opportunity to travel anywhere that we're invited to go, tag along and feed our food and talk to the experts in the hobby about what we can do to make the foods even better. So it's been great. I had the opportunity to actually dive in a tank, in a 16,000 gallon tank out in Utah in a Shields department store, and that video's on our website. So I got to put on a mask and dive down and feed the fish underwater right from a solo cup full of our food. That was pretty awesome.
Wow. So frozen food, it's hardly a new product on the market. So what separates yours from the rest?
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. Frozen foods, or food in that regard of any type, are probably one of the most cluttered areas of our hobby. I mean, next to salt and other chemicals, you can go into a fish store and there are flakes and pellets and frozen food and cubes and flats. And IQF products. So there is a ton of food on the market that you can choose from. And I think the reason that we were able to penetrate the market so successfully in such a short time is the product just kind of sort of sells itself. I mean, we started out to make the food the best that we could for our aquarium inhabitants, and we really didn't care what the cost of the ingredients was. So, we're sourcing ultra high grade scallops, ultra fresh shrimp. We're using Piscean energetics mysis shrimp, really good krill, the high quality beta carotene, which is a desalina algae, which is over $100 a pound, the probiotic component. So all of these things that go together into a blend that, with organisms that were living in the ocean a couple of days before they're harvested and dropped off at our shop, we then process them and freeze them quickly so the food is uber fresh. So oftentimes when we ship it out to a pet store, the ingredients in that pack of food were swimming in the ocean less than 7 days ago. So I think that by the nature of our product being ultra clean and the tedious processing methods that we use, it's just really given that wow factor that when a customer tries the food, it gives them the results that they want. It's cleaner. The animals eat it. They acclimate better. We've really become known across the internet forums as quite the finicky fish blend, where Moorish idols, copper bands, mandarins, seahorses even are on film eating our foods. And I think that has enabled us to be really successful. So if 10 people pick up a pack of our food at the local fish store, usually about 8 of them will buy it again based on what we're seeing with repeat sales and tracking our inventory. So I just think it's an honest product, and our transparency from day one on Facebook has really, really helped us because people can relate to what we're doing. So
Right.
It's been really good. So, we post all the pictures on Facebook of our ingredients. Our website's got tons of information. So people know exactly what they're buying when they plunk down their hard-earned money on our food.
Right. And that actually brings me to my next point. Like you said, you post pictures of what's actually going into your food. What is the difference between whole ingredients and byproducts and fish meals?
Sure. I mean, a whole ingredient would be an ingredient like unmolested mysis shrimp or whole and intact krill. Also, an item like a common shrimp that we get hundreds of pounds of every month. We process those and peel the shrimp. We take the exoskeleton and the head away. We discard it because in that instance, that whole animal has a lot of unnecessary things that the fish in an aquarium wouldn't eat, such as the shell and the tail and the head, which are also rich in phosphorus. So we want to make sure that doesn't go into the aquarium. As it pertains to fish meal, when you go to a market and you see where they're collecting fish off of filleting them and say cutting the tuna loins out for grocery store consumption or to go to the market, the carcasses and the items that are left after they're done filleting all these various fish of whatever species they are, it's my understanding that they get bought and sold and they go to a facility where they are processed, cooked, and then dried and then ground up into a meal. And you can buy this fish meal product in 55-gallon drums. And obviously, if you're grinding up the skeleton, the head, the skin, the tails, all those things could be a lot higher in phosphorus than just the meat if you extracted it from the loin of the tuna. So you just kind of have to look at the ingredient labels and watch what you're doing to be an educated consumer. A lot of people think that all pellet and dry foods are bad. I don't think that at all. I think you can buy different qualities of dried and pelleted foods, and choosing some of the ones that have higher quality fish meals in them can be better in the long run if your goal is to provide adequate nutrition and keep your phosphorus low.
And that's something that you also see a lot in pet food. Want to feed your fish like you feed your dog or yourself,
Well, you want to try to give the animal what's closest to the form in nature. Obviously, we all can't feed live food all the time,
Right.
or in a perfect world we would. But if you've got the ability to feed something that was just harvested out of the ocean, like a freshly shucked clam or a fresh scallop or a fresh shrimp, it is a much more nutrient-dense and intact form of protein for the fish. So obviously, every time a seafood ingredient is frozen or processed, it does tend to break down. And that's why if you can feed them an organism that's close to the way it was in nature, it gives you much beneficial results. And I think that's why our foods have been so popular in aquaculture and other areas of the non-retail consumer, is that the foods are just boosted to such a higher level of nutrition because how intact they are.
Right. And why is it important to feed a varied diet?
Well, just like any animal, you're taking a captive animal out of the wild, which would be swimming and have free reign on the reef or in the ocean to get a full gamut of nutrients or organisms they would want to ingest. And if you put that animal into your captive aquarium and you only feed it, say, let's say brine shrimp, or you only feed it ABC flakes, or you only feed it one specific food all the time, it may not get the balanced nutrition that it would get if you fed a variety of foods, say mixing it up a little bit. Feed Piscean energetics one day, maybe krill one day, maybe a little bit of clam the next day, some nutrient-rich algae. Let them get all of their amino acids and get the diverse diet that they would need, and that way it'll help with their immunity, it'll help with pigmentation, it'll help with their vigor. So I think there's a lot to be said for quality nutrition, and I think it's one area that people will spend a lot of money on LED lighting and a lot of money on a coral frag, but yet they reach for the cheapest food they can find, and I think it kind of is counterproductive to the overall health of the reef.
And speaking of quality of the foods, does feeding a diet consisting of such fresh and natural food require less feeding?
I think that the general consensus is that we want to feed, 1 or 2 times a day, and smaller meals is always better. However, most of us are overworked, and we're not able to just be next to our aquarium, 2 or 3 times throughout the day to offer smaller feedings. So I think we have to kind of balance the needs of our lifestyle with what we do for our fish. Fish's stomachs are very small. I've heard it said from somebody that a general gauge of looking at a fish's eyeball is about how much food they should consume in a given feeding. Looking at my triggers and things in my predator tank, I would probably say that I'm not so sure my fish are on the same page, but I think smaller meals are better. And what's the ultimate goal of the home aquarist is we have to balance what goes into the tank with what comes out, because as you know, if you're putting food into the aquarium, you have to have a mechanism to export those nutrients. So I think we always have that fine line of feeding just enough to make the fish healthy and thriving, but not feeding too much. I mean, I can tell you from my own experience, when our business got very busy and my water change schedule went from every 2 to 3 weeks to every 6 to 8 weeks, I was feeding a lot of food because we were doing a lot of R&D. And that's when my clownfish started spawning for the first time incredibly often. I mean, they were spawning seemed like every other week. Wow. And I noticed that when I finally got caught up with maintenance and dialed back my routine of feeding, then the fish didn't spawn quite as much.
So let's focus a bit on the actual nutrition. Why do fish need things like beta carotene or fatty acids and other nutrients?
Okay. Well, again, in a captive aquarium, the fish are only going to be able to benefit from what we add into the aquarium. So if the nutrients aren't there, their diet will be lacking in certain areas. So the beta carotene supplement, for example, is a desalina microalgae, which is harvested from California and other saltwater lakes. And it's rich in beta carotene, and it's used in aquaculture for the farming of mollusks and shrimp and prawns. And they found that it helps increase coloration, it helps increase immunity, and also vibrance and vigor when added to a marine fish diet. So that product is added in many different foods, both in pelleted and other raw forms like ours. We have found that it does actually help make fish more colorful. Clownfish and, for example, our harlequin tusk has very good shades of orange and it's very bright. So in adding some of these additives like celton or other fatty acids, it can help the fish thrive in the aquarium versus lacking if they're fed a food that may not have such diverse ingredients or the nutrients that are added. So it would be kind of like you living on a diet of, say, plain rice and just plain other foods that may not have all the nutrients and vegetables and amino acids and other benefits that you would get if you were able to go and eat whatever you wanted from the supermarket and pick out your own food. So that's why I always try to encourage people, don't just get locked into feeding one thing like brine shrimp. Feed a good mix that gives them all the proteins that are available, and everything from krill to PE mysis or any mysis or any other product that you can find.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure any fish eating your food eats better than I do.
Yeah, Probably. Well, from the money that we spend on these ingredients putting in there, they probably better than I do.
Now, how about probiotics? You see them in everything from dog food to yogurt. Some people speculate, is it a fad? Is there a science behind it? If so, what does the science say?
That's pretty exciting because that's one of the topics that we spoke about at the Nebraska Zoo when we were out there this past weekend, or the Omaha Zoo, rather. Probiotics are not new. What tipped me off to that effectiveness was in 2012, I read an article in Advanced Aquarists, rather, about clownfish breeding and the benefits of probiotics on the larva. So we started to research it, and obviously I went to Google. And if you Google probiotic bacteria in aquaculture, you can find studies after studies where it's been used for a decade to grow the food that we eat. And basically, if you take a beneficial bacteria and add it to the water or the food, it can help boost a fish's immunity. It can help balance their gut flora, which is their bacteria cultures that are found naturally in the wild. And it can have all sorts of effects, from helping them fend off pathogens, from helping them increase metabolic consumption of the nutrients that they ingest. It's also been proven to help clownfish and other fish develop faster after hatching. There's many, many studies that are all over the web with photographs that show fish that were raised in probiotic dosed water versus the control, where the ones in the probiotics, they were able to have a faster growth rate and do much better. So we started playing around with it in early, I guess it was late 2012, early 2013. We started adding different cultures to our foods and sampling it and testing it. What we found was that the probiotic bacteria actually go dormant in the freezer, as do any bacteria, but they remain viable. They just simply stop replicating or growing. But when you thaw the food out and bring it up to room temperature and test it, the cultures are still very much active. And the web results, the website has all of our results publicly posted, and we continue to have them tested every year as we make changes to our blends. And we feel that the frozen food method is the best delivery system, because in some other forms, when you heat bacteria, just like we boil water, it kills the bacteria. So you want to avoid heat, you want to avoid light, you want to keep the bacteria as stable as possible. And with all of the people that are now using our probiotic enhanced foods, I don't think that it's any more speculation or that it's just a trial run like it was originally when we started out experimenting with that in frozen foods, because we have numerous aquaculture facilities now using our food and posting photographs and testimonials on our website that's saying, hey, we were using this food before trying yours and we were getting this many eggs, but now we've switched to your diet with the same breeding pair and the egg count is higher, the larvae are more robust, and we're getting much better results. And just, coincidentally, yesterday was the birthday of the G. personatus angelfish that were hatched in Hawaii a year ago with Karen Britton. So she was using our diet then for the brood stock, and we're getting ready to send her some more food on Monday. So she continues to use our different food with different brood stock and also different juveniles such as P. venusta and other angels. So I think the probiotic component is very exciting, and I think it's going to help aquaculture and captive rearing of different species for many years to come. And I'm really excited that we got in on the ground level, and now because it is making a difference, we have people willing to do lab tests for us almost pro bono, just because, hey, if it really does help captive efforts, then everybody wins.
Right. We also noticed that you recently added fish eggs and blackworms to your food. What spurred that addition? And what are the advantages of blackworms?
The blackworms were something that we wanted to really experiment with because we wanted to see if we could really lock in a finicky fish blend. So, we have numerous videos on our website of people that had sent us things to Facebook and all kinds of fish that would refuse to eat other foods and then it would eat our foods. So I said, you know what? What if we raise the bar one step further and we could provide another food source that wasn't an additive, it wasn't a powder that would float in a water column? What if we could provide a complete encapsulated food source that would be ingested by the fish? And we looked at blackworms, which are proven in aquaculture, and a lot of people use blackworms for copper bands and many other butterflies. So we source the original blackworms out of California. They come in by FedEx. Every week we get a large shipment of blackworms, and we purge them and clean them and keep them refrigerated at the proper temperature so that they stay optimal. And then we had finally found an area where we were able to get fresh marine fish eggs from one of our suppliers. So the eggs are harvested right at the dock. They cut them from the belly of the fish when the season is in. And our fish eggs are blood red. They're encapsulated. They're whole. They freeze well. The fish absolutely go berserk for them. So we think that by adding the fish eggs and the blackworms, the lab results came back that the protein content for that food went from 12% to 19%. And
Wow.
we sent it out over a 3-month period to numerous breeding facilities and end users. So they tested about 100 non-retail packs for us and gave us our feedback. And the feedback was just unbelievably positive. So we went out and had new lab results done. We printed new ingredient labels. We got the food certified, and it's now shipping, and it's taken off like crazy. So I think we're the only frozen food blended manufacturer that has California blackworms in the food.
Wow. I guess one last question, because this comes up every so often. Why no cubes?
Cubes are something that we've looked at for about the past year, and it comes down to a couple different reasons. I had the machinery priced out. I had the blister pack trays, on deck. I found a company to print me the little foil top that would be laminated that had all of our information on it. But the bottom line is, in order to make a standard cube tray product, we would have to process our food to the point to make the viscosity such that it would flow into all those little cubes. And I refuse to do it. And it's one of those things where, we could leave the processors running for an extra 40 seconds with every ingredient or whatever it would be. We could puree the food, and it would turn out like the results of many people that try to make their own do-it-yourself food using a blender. It would be gooey like yogurt. It would be mushy. And, we don't use a blender to make our food. So we have a commercial processor that's different, that keeps it intact, that keeps it flaky. So the more I experimented with it, the more I talked to people in the industry that do make cubed foods, that did share their information about the machinery. I was told by many experts that, or rather, let me back that up. I was told by many consumers and people that have been into food longer than me that the day you make your food into a product that can be cubed as a blended food, I'm not talking about just like mysis or blackworms or other things, that it probably wouldn't be worth owning anymore. So what we have done over the past year is, because there is no do-it-yourself, or there is one-size-fits-all cube, we've tried to educate the end user that, hey, if you can spend a little bit extra time to snap off this piece of food from the flat sheet, it will give you so many, verifiable and measurable benefits over a cube product that you're seeking, that your tank will be cleaner, your glass will stay cleaner between wiping the glass, your fish will be healthier, they'll be more vibrant. Give us a little bit of a chance to try the flat pack of food. Our foods have very little water, so you can easily put them on a cutting board and cut them up into cubes yourself, and then stick them right back in the Ziploc bag or a Tupperware container. So you can take about 2 minutes of your time to do that and make your own cubes tailored to your own size. But at this point, we don't have anything on the horizon to come out with a standard cube product. If things ever slow down and we can revisit different alternate packaging methods, we might. But with the way that we're going, we're adding employees, and we're just making so much food right now. We've already gone through 2 tons of dry ice since January shipping. So we're moving a ton of literally a lot of flat packs right now. We don't have the time to try to play with a cube. But if we could do it in a way that wouldn't destroy the texture of the blend, and we put it into some other prepackaged food container for companies or for consumers, then we might try to look at something in the future. But we have a couple other things up our sleeve that are going to be real exciting in the next 30 days. So as we're an authorized PE mysis distributorship, so for a lot of these independent pet stores that are buying their LRS, we can now service them with all the products from PE mysis in the same cooler at the same low-cost freight they've already paid for when they bought our product. So a lot of fun stuff coming up. With, this is the first time we were ever able to tell people that we use PE mysis in our food, so we're really excited about being able to finally come out and say, hey, we're a PE mysis dealer, and we use their superior mysis in our product.
Anything you can give us a little clue to?
I can tell you that it's going to be something that's exciting, and I don't think another food maker will have this item. So That's pretty exciting for us. So we're going to take the bar one step higher again and just try to make the foods that much better. So,
All right.
I will see you at NERAC, right, in 2 weeks up in Long Island Aquarium.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. Looking forward to seeing you again and spending some time with the shrimp pimp. It's always fun.
It'll be fun. This time my wife and my son will be up there too.
Awesome. New York is very cold right now. So look forward to more of that.
I look forward to that 9-row twin prop puddle jumper airplane ride again. So.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me a little bit. I hope some people learned a few things, and hopefully we'll have more from you really soon.
I appreciate having me on. We didn't say this at all, but for anybody that doesn't know, the website is reeffrenzy.com. And also proud to announce that I just signed on to be a sponsor of reefs.com.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited about that. I'll have my own forum to be able to answer questions, probably set up by the weekend. So you can find me on reefs.com or reeffrenzy.com, or you can find us on Facebook at larrysreefservices.com. So we always answer questions on there every day. We try to have a very active Facebook page, and our bulldog mascot is always on there making an appearance. So he's a lot of fun too.
And sometimes he answers the questions, right?
Yeah, he answers the questions. He wears the shrimp pimp hat.
Well, thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
You too.
I feed LRS. My fish are doing great.